Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paweł Soboń and I represent Data Science Management Student Scientific Association at Warsaw School of Economics. We aim to create a hub of leaders of new data-driven economy. We unite people with different backgrounds, both business and technological. Today we have a great opportunity and honor to talk to Mr. Bodzi. Very nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
Mr. Bodzi is the Associate Dean and Chief Representative of Cheung Graduate School of Business. Do I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Very well.
The university is located in China and is one of the top business universities worldwide.
Yes.
Okay, so the aim of our organization is to raise awareness of the importance of data and data-driven economy. We like to seek value which is hidden in the data. However, sometimes we struggle to convince companies that this is the right way. I'm wondering whether in China companies are more open to solutions based on big data and solutions based on the values that are hidden in data.
No, China is definitely into the big data. And this word big data is all over Chinese media, in Chinese consumer and investment community and startup community as well. So you perhaps know China has close to 1.4 billion population.
That's true.
So we have not just the big data, we have big data.
Big people.
Yes, and then this data is not just in terms of population, but also in terms of the consumption, in terms of consumer behavior. So it's in every different sector. So we actually in China, we have national big data center, and all the large internet companies have a dedicated department on the big data. And almost every single business have some initiatives related to the big data. We all understand the need of acquire the user and to understand the user through the big data. And so that's very important. And lots of businesses have made a big profit because they own the data, you know. So I'm sure during our conversation, it's going to come up. I'd be happy to share with you some of the examples how Chinese firms leverage the big data to drive the business results.
Okay, that's very nice. Because I would like to start the interview also from the obstacles that are seen between Europe and China and how to overcome them. So one of the obstacles that we see is the cultural difference between China and Europe. And I'm wondering whether you've heard of the blockchain technology.
Yes.
And do you think that this technology will revolutionize those two markets and will have an impact on the cultural difference that we can see between China and Europe?
I definitely see. The blockchain, I must say, right now is relatively new to Chinese market. I've been to many different blockchain conferences, speaking in the blockchain conference in many European cities and also in China. And what I see is that the blockchain technology is still young in its development, not just in China but also worldwide. In China, we're a little bit behind, I must say, in the blockchain technology development. But my personal view is it's very much needed because blockchain addresses one of the issues, which is trust. So Chinese have a big trust issue. So I think the blockchain will solve some of the problem, particularly around the security, compliance, and the many areas in that. So I look forward to see that technology being widely applied in China. Now, when I say it's relatively new in China, but we already see lots of investment in that territory. And there are many blockchain companies, startups, companies in China already. So we have a big country, so we tend to have a lot of those, even though it's relatively new to China.
Okay, I'm wondering whether you could find a few steps that a company from Europe or a startup or a student organization like data science management should take to grow internationally or expand to China, for example.
Yeah. I think the first is to really understand the Chinese market well, to understand where is the opportunity. Today I lay out the 10 different industries where there are opportunities for the foreign startups, particularly European startups. And then the next is to really go in depth to see who are already playing in that field, whether it's a local Chinese company or international startup company there, or the commercial company there, to kind of do a bit of a mapping and to find out where there are still good opportunity to start with. And then the next thing to do is to really go to China to look for funding. I don't think you should bring the investment from here directly to China, but there's loads of the funding in China, so you need to really develop a customer-focused business plan. What that means is that you develop a technology that the Chinese consumer actually need it, whether it's consumer or business or need it. So that's the key. Don't just develop a technology for the sake of the technology, but rather look at what the Chinese consumer needs, and they understand their consumer behavior are quite different from the European consumer behavior. And the difference means opportunity. So sometimes maybe the technology isn't quite useful here, but it could be very useful in China. And then, if you take this logic, you first identify the opportunity in the Chinese market, in the specific industry, and then you develop a business model for that market, and then you go to China and pitch for the investment. And I think that's the best way to go. And I see the company who actually raise the money faster in China are two kind of company. One is that they have great technology already, they have great tractions in Europe already, and then they go there, and the Chinese investor look at that and say, you already got traction and you're doing very well in your market, and we need it here as well, so they invest in you.
So this is just an expansion of
existing business, yes. And second kind of the company do well in China would be that they just went to China. They don't have any traction here, they just went to China and started to develop their business in China through maybe an incubator program or accelerator program in China, which we have a lot. And then they got attention from the Chinese investor. Usually they are more competitive than the Chinese startups, even they are doing the same thing.
Why is that?
Because the Chinese somehow just love the Western technology. They just think that it's better. They have a better quality, and they think they're more trusting. I'm sorry to use this word because Chinese trust the Europeans more than Chinese, which is kind of strange, but we do. We think the European technology are more high quality, more innovative.
Okay, I understand. From Chinese perspective, do you see a future of companies or organizations that take the approach of data-driven economy, that look at the data and want to make decision-making processes based on the data, not on the maybe know-how or the experience?
Of course, we are already doing that in China. Almost many businesses started to use the data as a way to drive the decision-making process. And so, for instance, where I put my advertisement, whether I sell this or not. Now, I use the example of Taobao. Consumer also use the data to make a judgment. For instance, like in Taobao.com, which is the largest Chinese e-commerce store. And if you go there to do the shopping, you will first see how many people have bought this item from this store. Okay, it's based on the ranking. So then this is big data. You can see that, this company sells 1,000 pieces a month. The other companies sell 20. So for a consumer, they rely on this big data to make a decision. Which vendor I buy from? Should I buy from the vendor, the seller, who sell 20 a month or 1,000 a month? This is obvious. I'm going to go with the 1,000. But then the company who's selling 20 will think that I'm stuck. So what should I do? So then they need to lower the price a little bit or offer something more value. And so they also use the big data to drive their new strategy in dealing with the consumer.
Sometimes the company may have some advantage over the product that is more popular,
right.
And it's better in some way, but unfortunately cannot be as popular as the product that you've mentioned before. What should a company like this do to make this popular?
So if a company is not popular, how do they make it popular?
Yeah.
In China, it's very difficult. You're absolutely right. Chinese snowball effect is very obvious. We are a nation. We like to follow. We like to follow our people. It's like the Chinese like to copy, right? So we like to follow. So how do we deal with that? How do we change the consumer behavior? This is a very interesting subject. Very good question. Now, a lot of companies do is that they formulate a differentiated strategy to deal with that. So price is not always the only thing. So, for instance, some of the companies make their online interface. If I'll use online as an example, online store looks very trendy and more, more variety. So they're able to attract the consumer that way, not just because of the other company have more sales volume, and also sometimes they also use the social media marketing to attract more users. So not all, on this platform, I'm not ranked in the top. They're big guys, but then I use other social media to do the marketing and then attracting more users to my store here, and then I can change. I can break this ranking because the ranking was done by the volume. Now by attracting the people through other channels to my store, now I'm able to build up my volume for that. And some companies use more special terms. For instance, in e-commerce, they will say that unconditional return. If you receive the product within 7 days, there's any issue, we don't ask you any question. We just refund the money to you right away. So conditions like that, or they could offer some complimentary things, like if you buy this, I give you something free, or provide service for a certain period of time, year. So I would summarize it. They do a bit of a differentiation. The other way to do is they use the ecosystem approach, so that I not just sell this product, but I also sell other things that will enable use of this product. So as a result, now it became very interesting. Now I don't necessarily make money out of one product, but I make money out of this ecosystem. So I have much more cards to play than just using one card. So this is the ecosystem model that they play. And also there are companies that start to use the platform model. They build a platform. So they became a platform or became part of the platform. So there are many different business models that in China that I see are using very well, but not quite present in Europe.
You've mentioned social media, right?
Yeah.
And I think there is a vast difference between social media here in Europe and in China. What is the difference from your perspective, as I assume you know both of them? And what do you think about the issue of differentiation between social media? How do Chinese use it?
Yeah.
Do they also use Facebook or not?
We don't use Facebook. It's blocked in China, unfortunately. But we use the replacement of the Facebook. We have WeChat, for instance. We have QQ. We have Weibo. Weibo is like a blog system. People write about it. And we have other social media tools. Almost all internet companies like Baidu, they all have something like that. And all the internet companies like the Sinai.com, they have Sohu.com, they have those too. I would say the difference between this is that first of all, the Chinese consumers spend more time on social media than the Europeans.
You think so?
Yes, I think so. Definitely think so. I mean, you can judge based on the size of the mobile phone. We have a much larger size of mobile phone because people just use it so often that they need to look at it all the time. So in terms of frequency of using it. And second is that actually one of the big differences is in the Europe, the people treat social media separately from e-commerce. I'm saying separately is a relative term, but Chinese actually rely on social media to drive the e-commerce. So which is incredibly good for the businesses in China, because in Europe, if you understand what I'm trying to say is in Europe, when you use the social media, you are cautious not to oversell it. You don't over-promote the product or services. You want to present yourself more objectively, like I'm just social media, okay?
Okay, how is it done?
But in China, the consumer expects the social media and to actually link them to the e-commerce. So that means that if you talk about, okay, this product is great, I really enjoy this, but then they expect you to have a link that where you can buy this thing. And in Europe, you will feel a little bit shy to have that. It becomes too commercial. But in China, the consumer actually expects you to do that. So that's a huge difference between the West and Chinese social media in terms of its functionality.
Okay, and to summarize our interview, what advice would you give Europeans who would like to talk to Chinese partners? What is one advice that you would?
For the Europeans to talk to the Chinese partner?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I suggest you don't have a partner in China. You actually do it yourself. You go to China, you create your own startup there, and you hire local talents, which we have a lot of talents, and then you build a business much faster this way because you can control the business. And with a partner, there's a lot of debate and cultural difference. It creates endless problems for them. But in case if you indeed have to deal with a partner in China, you got to be very careful about the things whether they will become your competitor, number one. Number two is that whether they offer something that you absolutely cannot do. For instance, like you need a sales channel, maybe they can help to do that. That's great. Or developing a product. Why you need someone to develop a product? You can hire local talent to do it, for you rather than with you. So this, for me, is very important.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here.
You can see the link of our webpage down below. Thank you once again, and it was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.